Hi there, this is Jacob Thomas speaking on behalf of Jeffrey Longacre and myself. This is our hot topic PowerPoint presentation, and it's on school safety. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. To go a little overview before we start getting into our questions, school safety is a general topic when it comes to education in this country. School systems, states are going to vary with what is determined a highly probable emergency, especially when we're talking about different types of emergencies, such as like national disasters. Different parts of the country have different protocols and procedures put in place for national emergencies that will occur in their areas, such as on the West Coast. Obviously, we have earthquake drills. Um, in the Midwest and the central part of the country, tornado drills in the South and up the East Coast. They have preparations for hurricanes, things like that, snow drills, this, that, and the other, really in regards to weather and national emergencies. Another type of emergency, which we have seen quite often in the past 25 years, especially, and which has been made very public through the media, is gun violence and other forms of weaponry acts. We've seen this dating back to really kind of not the start of gun violence or school violence, but from recent memory would be Columbine, working its way up to even September 11th and the 9/11 terrorist attacks, um, and really just coming into the current state, which we see acts of violence happen really quite often, too often in my opinion. No matter the type of emergency or disaster, school educators, staff, administrators, and students need to be prepared to the best of their ability for when the event happens and the emergency happens, because do, we don't want to not be prepared. The best thing to do is to be over prepared, do drills, do different things like this, so that way when we are ready, we're ready to strike and be prepared. So this PowerPoint is going to dive into several questions that are important and relevant to school safety, as well as really interviewing school site safety crew or uh, safety members at a particular school, and really talk with them about school safety and the procedures and different things put in place for their exact school. Our first question was, how safe do students feel while they're at school? Um, this was obviously the source we used was the Williams study, um, and it's from the um, Journal of School Nurses and School of Nursing. And it talks about really an alarming and kind of polarizing numbers. Nearly 25% of students feel unsafe. Um, and it discusses the variables such as victimization, relationships, things like this. What's really important to know this is that as future educators, and we've been studying in our credential and our master's programs, is that we know and we are aware of this number, but it's still alarming. The number should not be a quarter of the sample size, which was 585. Um, so this article really put in perspective that yes, we are aware that this number is high, but we're doing things to really fix it. And this comes from obviously the School Journal of School of Nursing, and it just shows how what nurses can do to be a facilitator and bring in an easy feeling and a feeling of welcomeness and belongingness to a school and to the students, and how they can help teachers and administrators facilitate those type of feelings. I'll move on to the next one. Um, what communication systems or drills are in place during an emergency? Um, this is by Jeffrey, who works at Charter Oak. After having a conversation with the school principal at Charter Oak, we learned about how Charter Oak School District handles emergency drills. The high school practices numerous drills throughout the school year. They have an active shooter drill in education, as well as earthquake, fire, and lockdown drills. Staff members have specific duties for student accountability. So this kind of reaches out to each um, staff member to enlighten them on their part and how they can get students to be accountable in an emergency situation. Then Jeffrey goes on later to discuss responsibility of administrators, things like this. And then what he also had was, which was very great and very enlightening, was a emergency protocol handout, a handbook that is obviously written and is reviewed by a committee of parents, teachers, and administrators. And actually, the members, I've spoken with some students, with some teachers myself at Charter Oak, and they say it's very informative and very helpful. Just for knowing the knowledge and what to do in a situation when it does come. And hopefully none of us ever have to be in a situation like that. Okay, this next one is the salmon article. It discusses the Parkland event that occurred and how school security industry really is booming. And our question was, what effect does school shootings have on a school security industry? And we found that many companies have seized the opportunity to capitalize on the tragic incidents in our schools. And this is disturbing, to say the least, because somebody is gaining off of a school shooting and, tragic incidents and emergencies that happen. An example that we found in the article was one company in Massachusetts called Bullet Blocker. After the Virginia Tech shooting in 2007, they started selling bulletproof backpacks that cost between $175 and $490. Right after the Parkland shooting in 2018, Bullet Blockers saw their orders increase by 30%. Cheaper bulletproof bags became available at Home Depot and Walmart for $150. Some districts have spent large amounts of money on security consultants and upgrades to school. It is important for districts to spend this money on upgrading their schools' security systems and security consultants and things like this. And I get it. It is an open market for people to make money. It's just, it's just hard to talk about, especially as a future educator, seeing the realization of what these companies are really in it for. All right, next question is, what grade level was the most frequent school threats? And we had a second part to this question is, what type of threats are these? This came from a school, a website, Crime, Violence, Discipline, and Safety in the U.S. Public Schools, from the nces.ed.gov. And we found that 39% of schools reported at least one student threat of physical attack without a weapon, compared to 9% of schools that reported threat with a weapon. About 25% of the schools reported at least one incident of distribution, possession, or use of illegal drugs, a higher percentage than that of distribution, possession, or use of alcohol, which is comparatively 25 to 13%, and prescription drugs, which is 10%. During the 2015-16 school year, the rate of violent incidences per 1,000 students was higher in middle schools. We found that it was 27 incidents than in high school, 16 incidents, and primary schools, 15. So we just see that there's a large discrepancy in where these incidents are happening, and that's from this article or from this website. It's from the middle school schools across the country, and this makes one wonder and question, why? Why is it that middle schools are the ones that are having these more issues? Is it puberty? Is it students finding out about themselves and becoming who they are, and other students having opinions on that? And then there's numerous things where we can draw and infer from, but it just makes a future educator, and obviously myself and Jeffrey, we were curious about this. A high percentage of middle schools reported that bullying occurred at school daily or at least once a week at 22%. Then did high schools, 15%, primary schools at 8%. Again, just middle school seems to be where the majority of these bullying incidents and emergencies and things like that are occurring. All right. Are school staff allowed to keep firearms on school grounds? Our local schools do not have school staff that keep firearms on campus, but the debate after the shooting at Parkland, Florida has begun. In California, it is a crime to possess a firearm on a school zone or campus. However, prior to this bill, a superintendent could give written permission to allow a firearm in a school. The passage of this bill closed the loophole and took away the authority of a school district superintendent, his or her designee, or equivalent school authority to provide permission for a person to possess a firearm within a school zone. This is from the Martinez article, Guns Don't Belong in School Grounds, from the Orange County Register. It's a hot topic. It's not trying to have a pun there, but it is. It makes you wonder. What are we going to get to? When is enough going to be enough? And what measures are we going to take to add more security on our schools? It makes one wonder. All right. Do schools use local police and security guards to secure grounds? Schools use police security guards on most campuses. Charter Oak High School, where Jeffrey works, has an SRO, school resource officer, and 2 campus supervisors. An argument can be made that schools are safer with a police officer on campus. Others do not believe that the police on campus results in safer schools. Coming from a family of law enforcement, it's always safer to have law enforcement nearby or on campus or within the vicinity. It just makes things safer and easier. Coming from myself, Jacob, my own personal life, I always just feel safer when there's a police officer or a law enforcement member around. It just makes things more safer, and it puts the students more at ease. All right, and then lastly, our last question is: how accessible is the campus? Can anyone walk in at any time? This is our interview question. Wanted to ask around, just see, at the end of the day, is it easy to get on campus? And this is what we found. During visits to other schools for athletic events, we have seen campus access at firsthand. Campus access varies from school to school. For example, Charter Oak School can be accessed at the rear school fairly easily. Other schools like Diamond Ranch are nearly impossible to access. Location of schools and campus police will determine how easy or difficult it is to get on a campus. This is just strictly, each school is going to be different. Apparently that it's not protocol to have the same security system. Each school's budget's different, and therefore the needs are going to be different at each school. And if a school doesn't put a high priority on on campus safety, as far as accessibility, then it unfortunately, hate to say, and hopefully never does, but it may suffer, and that may come from, people walking up on campus, people bringing students, faculty, administrators bringing stuff on campus that's not welcome and not appropriate for school activities. It all just depends. So this is what we found, and it varies from school to school, and hopefully each school that we are placed at and that we eventually have careers at, we can be an advocate and a voice for school safety, because it is one of the most important things in education, to promote a healthy and safe learning environment for our students, and for our staff to just be able to work. And it's what me and Jeffrey chose, and we feel very passionate about school safety, and think it should be each and every school, each and every district, each and every state, and basically the whole country should be a priority for all, to make schools as safe as possible. That was our PowerPoint. Hope you enjoyed it, and we look forward to the debate and speaking on behalf for school safety. Thanks.